So, for those of you that were here Tuesday, any questions on what we did, the work breakdown structure? Brad and Bill, you're going to need a little bit of time with Guy and Chewy to go over. If you haven't had a chance to look at what they did, probably need to make some adjustments there. And Susie and Josh, you probably need to do the same. So what we're going to do this morning, once we jump into it, everyone's going to go back to their teams. We're going to go back to the breakout rooms. I'm going to give you probably like 35 minutes to continue to add to your work breakdown structure if you need to, or to bring folks up to speed. If you think you're done, just let me know, and I'll come into your break room. We can talk about some other things that we will be doing. But again, today, it's all going to be pretty much hands-on. I'm going to have a very short discussion or lecture on the next steps.
But good, thanks. How are you?
Most of what you're going to do, you're going to be working. So let's start off with our usual. Who wants to start? Anything, reflections from
Yes,
Tuesday?
And he called me back. He was calling to see about the check, and then it came in the mail yesterday. So.
Who wants to start?
Yeah.
Who wants to start? Anyone?
I'll start.
Okay, JJ.
It was another thing that I had forgot to talk about in our last session, but just one of the benefits I saw in the way that we brainstormed for the work breakdown structure was just that it was good at getting everybody's opinion. Sometimes, like if you're a little bit of a introvert or not quite as outspoken as some of the other people in the group, there was a good way to gather their opinion. I remember, back when I was first kind of out of school, that I tended to be a little bit more quiet in certain conversations and the starting of certain group projects, and that would have been something that would have benefited me a little bit more in the past. Things are a little bit different now, but it's still a good tool to use for those people who are like that.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that is really one of the reasons we do this in silent, because again, and I think I might have mentioned that sometimes there are those individuals that are a little more outspoken, a little more dominating in conversations, and then the folks that are a little more introverts don't get a say. And so this way, it ensures everyone. So one of the things that I would advise to all of you, if you use the tool and if you see people not writing down, encourage those people to write down post-its, because this is the way they can get things out there without worrying that people are going to shoot down ideas. That's another reason why there's no discussion of any of these ideas. It's brainstorming. Let's generate all the ideas. Every idea is a good idea. We'll go through the evaluation process and determine whether we want to use those or not, like we did, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Good. So JJ, you get to pick the next person.
Kevin.
Knew you were going to ask me. I missed the question. Sorry, Jess.
Quick reflection, our usual. Any thoughts from Tuesday?
Well, I just wanted to say that, this tool gives me the opportunity to see everybody else's point of view, like was stated, and it's hard to get somebody's maybe emotional opinion
right
when you're not in the same room with them, but this gives you the opportunity to see different points of view and also to maybe reflect, because it's right in front of your face. You can reflect more and maybe gain different insight. So I like that.
Good.
About it.
Good.
I wish the print was a little bigger because my eyes aren't so good, but
well, you just got to
always zoom in.
Zoom in. That's what you got to remember, is to zoom in. I know it takes a while to do that, because I do the same thing. Trust me, I still do the same thing. And then I remember I can zoom in and get really close.
Yep.
Go ahead and pick the next person.
Okay. How about Ralph?
Yeah, so what I got just recently, we're about ready to do the final meeting on our schedules just to get everything prepped up for our meetings, and we end up finding out that we left a couple managers out of the equation on the planning. So food safety wasn't involved, and neither was safety in either. So they're a little bit upset about us starting this project, doing holes and stuff, and they weren't involved with the planning stages of this project.
So yeah, so there you go. So now you get a different perspective of understanding that when folks have to be involved, right?
Yes. Yes, we knew that we needed to get them involved, but it just slipped our mind. We just got too involved into this project, and we missed participants.
Well, so now you have a tool to use. Just got to remember, you want to look at the project early on and determine who you need to make sure you got complete coverage.
Yep. So I'll pick Rolando.
Rolando?
Yeah.
You on?
I'm here.
Yeah. Any thoughts?
Yes. What was the question again, Jeff?
Any thoughts from Tuesday? Did you think about what we did on Tuesday?
Yeah. Went back to with Ralph, Darius, and some of the other leads here. We went over this project we're doing, and it would have been a good thing if we would have seen this before we started this project, because I think even at this point we're still missing a couple things.
Well, at least now you can recognize, and again, now you can one or two things. You can now start incorporating those folks, as Ralph was indicating, and address those issues. But more importantly, this isn't your only project or your last project. So now you know for the next time that you need to look at all these other things.
Yeah, we'll be using it.
Good. You get to pick the next person.
Darius, who's excited to go next.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because what Ralph said, we actually got pulled out the last, I don't know what it was, 15 minutes or so of the class.
Yeah.
Because of just what Ralph mentioned about leaving out those two managers. One of those managers caught our contractor up there drilling those holes and absolutely went ballistic. So it was
I can imagine.
It was not a fun day for me, at least. I was catching bullets for the next few hours, but yeah, it's definitely when you applying the stuff we got going on here in this class would have avoided all that for sure, and a lot of other pitfalls that we run into, pretty regular. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about the stuff we're getting out of this class for sure.
Good. Good.
Might as well keep it going here with Eric.
There you go.
Morning.
Morning.
I saw the same thing. We didn't communicate like we should have with the other managers in the other areas. Our food safety manager was the one that went ballistic on us. So that was one of the things we didn't put up in front when we were laying out was our food safety. If we would have been able to plan this out, like Darius said, we would have been able to avoid. And if we had this program before we started up, it would have been much nicer. Things would be going, I believe, a little bit smoother. So,
well, I'm glad you guys good. I'm glad you brought that whole thing in regards to people involved and what are their roles, because one of the things we're going to cover today, and I'm going to give you at the end of the class, or if you need it today, I can certainly give it to you today, is what we call roles and responsibility matrix. And that's going to define who all needs to be involved on the team. And it's a matrix to also identify what are they responsible for. Again, this isn't we're not going to create a matrix, who's doing the work. This is about who's responsible, who should be involved, who should be checking and reviewing. So I think that tool is probably going to help you even more, because now at the very beginning, you can start using that tool. A lot of folks use it once early on, because like I said earlier, this can just become a standard. And so you have a standard roles and responsibility who you need to bring in. So I'm glad you guys brought that up, because we are going to cover that later this morning. And I think that would be a great tool for you guys.
Yeah, because it's not the first time we forgot about them.
I can understand. It's one of those things, out of sight, out of mind, right? And so
Yes.
you're focused on the things you need to get done in front of you. But again, it's a tool that's going to help you remember. And again, like I said, after a time, it becomes just a standard template with the list of individuals, and you just have to, put the checks in as to what their roles are going to be on any particular project. But we are going to cover that later this morning. So who was Darius? You picked the next person.
Oh, trying to remember who's gone already. How about Mike? Is Mike gone already?
No. Mike?
Yeah, my reflection is that there's looking at how you pick apart a project, there's various ways to do it. And it just takes a lot of teamwork to make sure that we're all aligned in how we want to see this thing broken apart. So I'm excited to get back together with our team and kind of regroup and start fresh and come up with the next steps to dive into this thing. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Pick someone, Mike.
I will pick Jamie.
Hey everybody. So kind of on that vein, I was thinking a lot about the way we were considering restructuring our grouping since Tuesday. And it kind of made me reflect that everybody has their own way of organizing thoughts and information, and none of it is wrong. Everybody's just different. And it's such an interesting way to find insight into your team members, to understand how they look at the world. So like Mike, I'm really excited to dive in today to see if we can find a common ground, which I think is another benefit of this tool, is helping us. I think visually is such a easy way to communicate those things. So really cool. And I'm also really excited to use this tool with our team at Butte College to kind of understand our different takes on how things should be structured, things can be organized. I think it's cool. I'm excited.
Good.
And I will pick Susie.
Well, Susan wasn't here on Tuesday, so she's off the hook for now. Unless you want to say something, Susie.
Well, I'll still say it because I did actually watch the recordings.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, I watched it last night at home and on my way to work and back from work.
You can't be watching and driving, Susie. That's messed up.
Well, I was listening. Most of the time it's listening.
Joey, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to bring it up.
So I think actually even watching the video, from listening to everybody, their opinions and then looking at what at least my team worked out. I didn't get a chance to add to it, but I could already see how even a third person with a different mindset could add on to it. I'm already thinking about, well, where's all the budget financial stuff in the planning phase? At least I don't see anything on there.
Not yet. So I'm glad you asked that question. I'm glad you brought that up because today, after that is going to be, we got two more steps, but today, before the end of today, we're going to start developing the project budget. But the order, there's a certain order in order to have sufficient information for putting together the budget. But you're absolutely right. So still part of the work breakdown structure, until we, the work breakdown instruction isn't completed until we do the financial piece to it, which is very good. And I didn't pay you for that. I didn't let you know ahead of that, right?
Yeah, no, but even following along the slides and listening how things, I think you mentioned something about, sometimes you think you have to be part of the activity or the task, but somebody else is going to be doing that. You should just be managing that it gets done, or things like that. So it kind of, well, at least for me, puts my mindset in a, view it a different way. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'm going to reiterate that, because too often when people get on a team, the assumption is they're going to do the work, even though they may not be the right person or the right skills. This is being on a team, is being responsible to ensure the work gets done with the proper skills. And so, yes, I'm glad you reinforced that.
Yeah. I did my homework.
Good, good. You can pick the next person.
Bill.
Bill's unmuted. Okay. So I also wasn't here, but I did review the slides and I did listen to the video as well. What jumped out at me was I've gone through similar process with strategy, with strategizing, and literally putting sticky notes on the wall with a group of 15 people, and it's the whole cliche of the whole is better than the sum of the parts, and the rest of the things everybody else has already said, I agree with as well. I didn't drive while I listened to the video, so
that's good.
I think I'm good.
So I think you're recognizing our secret sauce to everything that we do, because we use Post-its for everything. So whether it's strategic planning, or whether it's project management, or whether it's problem solving at all the different levels, it's, again, when you have inclusion of other folks and those that are outside, they're going to ask, like we always say, when we come in, it's not that we're experts in what you do. We're just going to ask the dumb questions and pull information out. And that's really what happens when you have a group, especially a cross-functional group. So,
well, and I think I would add that, because somebody just said this, being on the project, sometimes if you're not even if you're the project leader, that doesn't mean you do all the work either.
Correct.
You're just managing it. And I think we've had challenges I've had challenges going from the doer to the manager, supervisor, and up the chain. And it's a painful step, because I know how to do it. And sometimes it's easier just, to do it. But in the end, that's a short-term strategy, because I can't do it forever. And you got to train this new person to do it. So
absolutely. So Bill, you get to pick the next person.
Krista, did Krista go?
Nope, not yet.
Okay.
Morning, everybody. My reflections from last session are, I really liked what Jamie's comment was about, like, the affinity brainstorming being an opportunity for team building. I hadn't really thought about it that way, but it's so true. And I also noticed while we were doing that, and I think it's true when we get the cross-functional elements involved at Lumberg, is when somebody doesn't understand the process as well, they ask questions of why do you do it that way, like, because it may not make sense to an outsider, and it prompts the process owner to be like, I don't know why we do it that way. Like, so something that used to be relevant that drove that process may not be relevant anymore, and you don't ask yourself that question because you don't have that perspective. And then I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to incorporate affinity brainstorming into my current projects that are kicking off like this week. So that's what I've got. Who hasn't gone? Josh, have you gone?
I haven't gone. I wasn't here, but I did watch the recording or listen to it. Not when I was driving, Susie. But I thought it was kind of interesting because our company's been doing a little bit of work with Patrick Lencioni about working together as a team and realizing when someone's struggling or just has a different understanding of what we're talking about, and kind of picking up on those things, and then realizing that everyone works differently. understands things differently, and everyone has things they can bring to the table that are gonna benefit the team.
Good. Your choice.
Who else?
So you can, there's Brad, Chewy.
We'll go Brad.
Thanks, Josh. So I wasn't here on Tuesday, but and also I couldn't get the videos to play from the link. I got a 404 error, so I don't know. It must have just been me. It sounds like others were able to view the videos, but I did view the slides, and I went into the work that Guy and Chewy had done in Bill and my absence, and I changed everything around.
Perfect.
Just kidding. That's sort of, you know, I'm an introvert trapped in the mind of an extrovert, and a control freak at that too. So, no, the process of you know, I think I said this last time we were looking at our reflections and look back on this process, and it is a lot about team building, teamwork, having subject matter experts for the specific work areas of the project, and the project manager being sort of the quarterback for the team, and the making sure things get done, and being a leader of people and a manager of projects, and not a doer of stuff. And that putting together the WBS, I looked at what Guy and Chewy had done. They did a lot of work to get the implementation, our project description done. So it's a lot about teamwork and being able to solicit input from different points of view. You know, like General Patton said, if everybody's thinking alike, nobody's thinking.
It's actually true.
Yeah.
So you have a choice. You got Chewy and Julie.
Well, I'm going to pick on Chewy. I mean,
Did you say Julie? Did you say Julie? Every time Siri
I said Jesus.
Oh, Jess, you're next, Jess.
Yeah, I guess I am. Chewy, you're next.
All right. No, what I learned is being a team of 1.5 is really difficult to brainstorm. So I feel bad for Guy. He was doing the grunt of the work. But no, in all seriousness, I think brainstorming, in my opinion, in the past have been about throwing out ideas, somebody else scribing. It was really different to think about it as silence brainstorming. You know, nobody is overruling the room. So everybody gets a little bit of input, even though some ideas may be the same or cross a little bit. That's okay. The whole idea about brainstorming in silence is everybody gets their input heard. So I really took that away from, that was the main thing I took away from the class on Tuesday.
Good. So you get to pick the last person.
All right, Julie.
Good morning, everybody. I will add to what value I took from last week. I really appreciated that there's a process to take what brainstorming occurred and then immediately plug it into something actionable. I think it can be really easy to have a brainstorming session and a lot of people away from their desk or away from their station, and then have a big brainstorming session, and it's kind of exhausting. All these ideas are flowing, and then a week later, you know, if you didn't have a real great way of organizing everything and having everybody walk away with what they're doing, then you haven't really gotten very far. So I think this tool will be very powerful for that, to really put all those great ideas into motion right away. And then everything's already categorized. And I think that'll be great to use moving forward.
Good, good. Sounds like all of you got something out of the session Tuesday session. And so today we're going to continue to add. So like I said, we're going to add 30 minutes. I'm going to give you 30 minutes to go ahead. I know we need probably to make some adjustments of some of them. But if you feel that you've gotten far enough, you have the ability to return to the main session. Please do that. That way I know that if you guys finish early, we can move on to the next thing. Just to also let you know, since we are working strictly on the work breakdown structure today, we're going to be doing a variety of things. So just kind of give you what we're going to be doing next. I don't want you to go do this now, but we will be talking about the next big piece, along with our big piece with our work breakdown structure, is to begin the process of identifying what skills are required to perform the work and the number of resources. And then we're going to start working on estimating both the what we call effort hours, the actual labor hours to complete the work, and then the duration, how much time is going to be given. And once we have that information, then we can move on to coming up with what is the cost for that particular task or activity, because cost needs to be done at that level, because we're going to get, by the end of today, roll that cost up to see where we are from a project perspective. Now, today, we're only going to focus on the labor side. We're not going to focus on the material side, but we'll talk about how you would add the material costs associated, but it would be done exactly the same way we're going to do the labor. And so all of today, like I said, other than I got a couple of slides for each of the topics of how to do it and how you're going to do it in Miro, which is different from what we normally do when we do it in person, but it still gets you to the same place. And but so the intent is by time we get done today, we should be through the budget portion. Once we complete the budget portion, so next week we should be starting on the actual schedule itself, because the work breakdown structure and everything that we're going to do today are the minimum pieces of information you need before you should be running off and creating a timeline schedule. And again, like I said, unfortunately, in this new world with software, it takes you directly to the timeline. It does not take you to the starting point, which is creating the work breakdown structure. It doesn't mean you can't do it. It's there. It's just not where it takes you. All right? And so any questions before we break out? All right, here we go. I'm going to send you off to your teams. And I sent in the chat the link. Oh, wait a minute. Did we skip somebody? Luke, you weren't going to say a single word, were you?
Sorry,
Nice.
I was multitasking. I was getting messages from my employees that were urgent for them. So hadn't realized I was the last one. I didn't get picked. I guess real quick then, reflection. What everyone else said, it made a lot of sense.
Oh, by the way, I have a rule. You can't use the word ditto, and you can't use the words what they said.
Yeah, well, so that was just the first part. I was going to expand on it. I think so. For me, and where our company is, the main thing that has really been awesome is just the level of organization this brings to the whole process. Because when we do, our projects are generally a little smaller. They don't generally involve bringing in, big pieces of equipment or lots of subcontractors. We don't have those different levels of detail. So it's more like, hey, this is a good idea. I think we should do this. And then we'll put a bunch of stuff on paper, and then it somehow magically gets done, especially if it's not specifically on our software engineering team. They're much more process focused and have a project focus. But any of the other teams that are doing projects, this is going to help bring a much higher level of organization and actually getting it done probably faster and a lot more on time, as opposed to, we might start a project and then gets pushed back because we're waiting on something, or we end up going to do a different project, this will help streamline the whole process. And I'm really excited to use that, use it in our business for that. So
Good.
Real quick comment for everyone. Just a real high level, just put this in perspective. We're brainstorming kind of activities related to our work breakdown structure on a project. This can be applied to getting in a room with a team to figure out root cause issue. You can brainstorm issues and put those into buckets and categorize those. You can then get back into a room with a team and brainstorm solutions to all those issues. So this can be applied. There's not one application in any meeting that this can't be applied to. So we've got clients that when they go into meetings, they've got a strict agenda on how the meeting is going to run, and when they actually go into doing the work, 80% of the time it's a post-it note process, and it keeps things organized, it keeps things documented, and it keeps things flowing, and it does help to build the teamwork and get everyone included in the process. So stepping away just from project management, this tool can be used in many different applications and be highly effective for you.
Yep. And just keep in mind, again, we've had, like I said earlier, this is used in everything from strategic planning all the way down to two people trying to figure out a problem, working out a problem. And so it doesn't require having lots of people, as long as it's more than one. And even as one individual, just looking at your own stuff, you can certainly start brainstorming about things, because sometimes we have a tendency when we brainstorm ourselves to start, we think of an idea and then start thinking about all the reasons why it doesn't work, right? And so it works down the same way. You just put them down, then you can come back and go through the second process of saying, what can we do here? And so keep that in mind. All right, did I miss anyone else? All right, got to keep an eye on Luke because he was going to be quiet about it. All right, here we go. Chewy, why are you still here? I'll send you off in a minute here.
Okay.
Chewy, why didn't you join? Bill did not. Interesting.
I wasn't.
Okay, I think you were in, but then you dropped off. So here you go. Bill, are you on?
Yeah, I got logged off. My battery went dead. My other.
Oh, okay. So let me send you.
Send me to the group.
Yeah, let me send you to the room. For whatever reason, it won't let me.
Oh wait, let me. I think I'm still logged on.
Yeah, you're still logged on because I see you in and I see you out.
Okay, let me log out of that.
We got multiple bills. We got a 16 member, 15 member.
I heard Brad say that I needed to have more clout, so I need to override him.
You've cloned yourself on Zoom. Huh?
Exactly. Hold on, how do I log out of here?
Yeah, that's definitely one.
Okay. Oops.
Okay, so you're.
Now I'm leaving the meeting. Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm only me. Sorry about that.
So are you in the meeting or?
I can only see you.
You can only see me. Okay, so you're not in the meeting. So I'm going to have to move you to a different team and then move you back.
Okay, no problem.
You're still here. Let's see what happened. Why is that the case? Okay, you're still showing up here. Why is that? Let me see. Bill, can I have you completely log out and come back in?
Sure.
Or just drop out of the meeting and then join the meeting again.
Okay.
Okay, you on, Bill? Okay, I'm going to send you then. Here you go.
Yeah, something like that.
Wanted to make our minds flow easier. But I think JJ didn't he say, well, Jess is here, so we can ask Jess. Didn't you say that the numbers and the order aren't super critical?
Nope.
At this point?
No, it's all the numbers are for as for reference purposes, because once you create your timeline, the relationships are going to go away as it relates to the work breakdown structure, because it's really going to be time based at that point. So numbers are strictly for reference, and the reference really is back to Susie's point as it relates to the financials. Is the reason we assign a number to the task or the activity is so we can refer to the financial piece. What dollars have we assigned to that? And as far as horizontal and sequence, don't worry about it. I know that when, as I mentioned the other day, is we have all been conditioned to look at things sequentially. So we like to think sequentially, but the reality is when you look at the entire schedule, it's not going to be that way. There's going to be stuff that you can do parallel. There's some stuff that has to get done first before the other. So it's going to be completely different. But again, the reference number is really for the purpose of tracking labor hours and the costs associated for each of those activities and tasks in the long run. Does that make sense? So don't get hung up on it. And don't get too worried about it. Numbers are going to be way out of sequence. That's okay.
So on ours, Jess, is there anything that you're seeing that we should be adjusting or adding
So let
that
me, give
sticks
me a
out?
second here to look at your board here. So you get the planning, the asphalt, yeah, because in your case, you're subbing out all the work basically.
Let's
It's
just
just the
call it all. Yeah.
right, all of it except for the supervision and the management, the oversight.
Mhm.
I don't see anything on here other than what I mentioned the other day. I don't know if you're asking for warranty of work or something in writing from them. That would be the only other thing that I would put up there, just to make sure that even though you're not going to be doing anything, that make sure that that piece, that you know that this project officially does not end until the warranty period ends.
Yeah, we put a sticky note in there in the planning.
Oh, there it is.
So
Yep.
warranty support period,
Okay.
so that we could at least discuss it in the planning. And so it was on the table, so to speak.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a hint because we're going to go into identifying resources. I can, in yours particular, the resource is really just the contractor, the subcontractor. So you're not going to have resources down below, but what you may want to do, and we always recommend you do this, even though you're not responsible for the resources, you may want to look at some of these post-it notes of the subcontractor and say you want to make sure you have a particular skill, right, or a particular level, just to make sure they don't, you know, they if you need a journeyman level electrician, for example, and it's not just some apprentice doing the work, that type of thing, just to make sure you guys are covered, and you can identify that, and then you should put that in the contract that you put together with your subcontractor. You don't do it for every task they're doing, but if there's certain tasks or certain activities that really you want to make sure, because your internal insurance requirements or whatever internally, or legal requirements internally, or operational requirements, that you need to have that, this is an opportunity to do that. But for each one of you, I can tell for yours, the only one you're really going to have to put skills and resources to is really number one. You may want to add a post-it of supervision for each of the other subcontractors column, and that's your internal labor. But everything else is going to be, I would presume that's a firm fixed price, so will be in that price that they provide you.
Do we put anything like contingency funds at all on this part, or that's
No. When we get to the budget, when we start developing the actual budget, we'll talk about where and how and at what level. The question becomes at what level you put those. You don't necessarily put those, which is often what we see a mistake, is that back to, I think it was your point, Josh, when your point earlier, when you look at this, one of the reasons you want collaboration on this, because there's a tendency at the lower level, let's say the folks that are responsible for the individual task to be done, that they pad it, and then it rolls up to the next level of supervision, and then they pad it, and then it rolls up to the next level, and they pad it, and you get all this padding going on to a point. If you're actually, it's fine if you're doing an internal project, because then everything looks like you're under budget, right? Because everybody padded. The worst thing is if you're selling something to a customer and that's in there, and that price may put you in a price point that is way above where you need to be. You can't be competitive. And that's why it's so important to make sure that everyone understands this is where we're putting that padding, because it's typical, right? Everyone puts padding, but where should that padding be? At what level? And then who's going to manage that padding? Part of the project manager's responsibility is to manage that padding, but he's got to constantly know where that is. And then when he reports out the financial report out part of the project, that everyone knows where it's at. Okay. So we are going to talk about when we get to the budget piece, but that's a key piece. I think in yours, like I said, I think it was yours and also the Sun West guys, that it's pretty straightforward. A lot of the work is being done by subcontractors. So in your case, as far as labor hours associated, it's really the supervision and oversight. And like I said, I would put under each one of those columns, at least for you, how much time you think you're going to spend providing oversight or managing, or if you can have interactions with each one. You may spend more time with the fence guy or the plumbing guy than you would with the asphalt guy. So keep that in mind.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Into a phase.
Like that?
Perfect.
Okay.
And then as we move forward, we had beta test and analyze. And that could be split. One part we don't have is the launch, the go live, and all the steps necessary to actually do that. I mean, there's a sticky we can create that'll say go live, but what does that actually mean?
So it's that part of the process is also very simple. It's basically after you, so in the third party tool in Intercom, you can basically create all of the mobile carousel onboarding slides in a draft type status. So you can work on it, you can get them all ready to go, and then you can turn it on. Basically, click a button and says make this live, and it makes it live. And when you do that, you can make it live for everybody, or you can make it live for a certain subset of people. So if we only wanted to make it live for anyone in the system with a clockshark.com email address, so that we could test it internally first. But it's literally just hitting a button essentially.
Okay. Do you does the team think that launch is a good phase of the project to add, or use it as a sub sticky?
I think it's probably a good phase because it gives another milestone essentially.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Would this one here would this be better under launch?
Which one?
Sorry. Communicate access information to activation team.
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe I wonder actually if cleaning shouldn't be 5 and testing be 6.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, let's do that.
Just something for you to remember is make sure that the post-it notes underneath each category, that you number those, like 1.1 under 1, 1.1, 1.2. Don't worry about the sequence. This isn't about sequence. It's really reference numbers, and especially when we start getting into budgets, it's going to be how we start tying things together.
Okay, so the 1.1s aren't necessarily like a subcategory, correct?
Yeah, it's a subcategory, but for example, if I look under phase 1 and you got established timeline, you can call that 1.1. Electrical engineering can be 1.2. It really doesn't matter. It's not sequence. We just know that they all belong to the planning phase.
Correct.
And
okay.
then, right, and because once we create our horizontal schedule, all that's going to change based on when things need to start and when things need to finish. So it's not sequencing. And like I said earlier, a lot of people have a challenge with the numbers because they want to sequence. And all we're really doing is creating reference numbers to refer to our accounting, how we track the cost for each one of those tasks.
Okay. And also, Jess, just a quick question. Do you guys have like a checklist like on this stuff that we've been going over through, like from day one?
Yeah, I'm going to give you at the end, I'm going to give you basically, it's a bunch of different cheat sheets, basically.
Okay.
Like a checklist. It's going to go, here's step 1, here are the things you do in step 1, here are the things you do in step 2, the things that we're doing, right? So it's just going to
Yes.
go in sequence, and it's going to be, I'm going to give you some forms that you can use that already have the boxes. All you do is fill in the box type thing, right? So you follow and fill in the box that you completed it.
Yes.
And so just like a project charter, a very real simple thing you write out that you want to start out, there'll be boxes for you to just fill out, and then a checklist of the steps you do, and then what should be included in each one of those steps. And then we'll give you forms like your point, the challenge that you guys ran into is this whole thing is who needs to be involved. So we have a form that you will see later today, because we are going to touch on that. And it is what's called a project management roles and responsibilities. And on one side, across the top, it lists who should be involved. And across the column vertically are the things. It's basically, it's a spreadsheet with a check where you check who needs to be involved. That way you make sure that those people get involved, but they're involved either to review stuff, to approve stuff, to provide input, or perform the work, right? So it's a real simple checklist, and that helps everyone that's involved. 1, so you don't forget someone. 2, so when you do talk to that person, they're going to ask, well, what am I going to do on this team? It's not my thing, right? So, but at least then it identifies what their role is on the team, and it's easier to get people to get involved and as part of this. So we're going to be giving all that at the end, so you have a complete package. I want you to walk through this, and get it firsthand and understand, so you start linking these things together.
Yes, for sure. And then also, I'm like Brad. The video that the YouTube video, I couldn't watch it. I kept getting an error 404.
Which video? Which two? Which?
For the last meeting.
Yeah, there was 2 of them. So was it the first half or the second half?
The second half.
Okay. It might have been that you guys might have been in there when I was actually correcting. There was a problem with it, and I was correcting it. So you should be able to get in there. If you're not able to get in there, let me know.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Hey, Darius.
Yeah.
Hey, on the cleaning, we should probably just have food safety manager sign off.
Let's leave it for now.
Yeah, that's probably less
always circle back.
Identifying duplicates.
Go ahead, Jamie, with the welcome video.
So for part 2, design and implement the welcome video, we have design images for the welcome video. upload launch welcome video, test welcome video, write the script for the welcome video, and record the welcome video. Those are very out of order and my brain does not like it, but they're all there and I think they're all distinct.
Yeah. I like them. I think that's the easiest group out of all of them.